Hello, this is Kyle Van Hook, and I'm here to do the Project Milestone 3 for gameplay programming concepts. So getting into it, I guess let's just start with the tank. It has all the stuff that was already on it. It has a pawn tank, it has a tank mover, it has a noisemaker, it has an audio source, it has a power-up manager that manages the power-ups, it has a tank shooter class, and it has another player health component. This is a new component compared to the regular health component, made specifically for the player health. Specifically for the player. But on that, it's no different than a regular health component. Player health. It's basically solely there to just be exactly the same as the health component. Except that this section right here, whenever the player dies, it will de-increment the player health, player lives in the game manager. Other than that, it's exactly the same. And to just show the player's working, you can move forth, you can shoot, bullets will eventually disappear, disappear into a wall. And that is the player. Alright. AI still exists from Milestone 2. It does. And I managed to integrate it pretty decently into this one. It's still buggy, but it works sometimes. But let's just show level class exists. Holds the appropriate data, level data. Alright. So I'm looking for the level, which is right here. So this is just the level. It holds supposed to be the difficulty and the map generator itself. In the game manager, we make a public level, and then down here in the start game, which is on the start of the game, the start game function. This will do everything that starts of the game. This spawns the player. This spawns the enemies. This spawns all the power-ups, that stuff. But anyways, we do level map generator, generate map. And then, where's the map generator? It's right here. Anyways, in the map generator, on start, we initialize the random, which is the random for the whole thing. And depending on what type of random type it's set at, it will either do initiate a random for just a random, initiate state, seeded random will just be completely random during this day, and then map of the day will be a specific map that's made due to this date to int. But anyways, the generate map will make a 2x2 grid of map columns and map rows, and we'll go by 2 for loops to create a temporary tile. It will then get a current correct position, which will be the Z and the X. It will then get the current row multiplied by the tile's width, a current column by the tile length. And those will be the current position.z and current position.x. It will then set that the temp.tile's transform position to the correct position. It'll then also set the name to tile, current column, and current row, basically the numbers in this case. And then we're checking if through this we're basically checking which of the walls needs to be opened to be the door. So if the current row is equal to 0, 0, column 0, sorry, I'm trying to remember how this works. Alright, so if current row equals 0, we're going to set the north door to false. Because then that means what's that mean? It basically means it's on the 0, 0, 0. I actually need to check out how this is set up. This is not looking good for my recording. Pause. Thank you. Alright. Here we go. So 0, 0. One row. Okay, so this is row 0. Row 0, row column. Column 0, column 0. Row 0. Column 1, column 0. Or row 0. Okay. This is the north. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to make sure everything makes sense in my head. So if we're current row is 0, we're going to be setting the north door to false, so it doesn't it's not rendered, and it doesn't have any hitboxes with it. If it is map rows -1, basically it is the at the max map that we've set here, map rows that we've set. We're going to do the south door, such as open up door south here. We're going to be making this non-visible and non-interactable. That way, basically the map pieces connect up. If we are in the middle, we're going to be basically setting both sides of the door to false. So north and south, and then this is the same for the east and west. If we're at the max amount of columns, -1, we're going to set the west door to false. If we're at the first column, all the way to the left, we're going to be setting the east door to false. And if otherwise we're in the middle, then we're just going to be setting them both to false. And then we're going to be saving this current column, current row, or we're going to be saving this temp file to the grid as the current column and the current row. Oh, and where did we get random tile? Oh yeah, as we're actually instantiating the tile, we're getting a random tile from a range of tiles, or at least a tile list of available tiles. And that's going from 0, which is the first one, to the available tiles count, which is the max. Then we'll return the tiles. So for that, the map generator here is the actual item that holds the map generator. We can basically show that random. It's a random map each time. A couple times. And then seeded, let's do like 500. Nope. And then it should look the same each time based on the seed. I don't know if that works. Or it might be in the same vein. But map of the day, I think, will always be the same. Alright, so blank, 2 squares and that. Blank. It doesn't always... I'm going to get points taken off that, but I don't know how to fix that. Yeah, alright, these don't work. I got nothing for that. But that's how it's supposed to work. Let's see. 3 plus tiles. We have 3 plus tiles here. They can all be made, and more tiles can be made. Let's see, what else? In the map generator, you can access the actual map generator, or in the game manager, but the actual map generator is what does the tiles width, length, column, and row. I don't think you're supposed to be changing the tile width or length at all, because if I remember correctly, the floor is... No, the whole thing is 50 by 50. So that would mess up the whole thing. Map with a bunch of... Well, actually, 25, 25. Let's see. Do I have to redo this whole recording? Oh. Well, technically it is adjustable, but 50 by 50 is how it's designed to be. Code still works. The column numbers can be changed, though. That I know does work. As we now have a 3 by 3, and we can do a 3 by 2. We just can't go down to 1, because that causes the entire thing to crash. What else do we need? We didn't do that. Tile class exists and holds the doors between. We have a tile class. Do I have it here? Scripts, tile. There we are. The tile holds the player spawn and also the north door, south, east, and west. Well, let me actually go back to tiles and show you. Should probably put the spawners and the enemy spawn points there, but it does hold the game object for the doors in the tile. What else am I looking for? Map generation can be set to land and revel. Why this works? Preset, seed, yeah. Oh yeah, the game manager. In this case, we've made the game manager, and it has a up-to-date list of, where are you? Of all the tank spawn points. Where are you? Enemy spawn points. And up-to-date tanks. Yeah, there's 5, including me. AI for enemy spawn points. Enemy spawn point. The game manager has a list of all the game spawn points that are actually in the game. And since there's 5, 1, 2. No, let's go. 1. Wait, no. Yeah, there we are. Yep, it is working. It's just Very weird. It does hold all the spawn points that are currently in the game. What else? Update list of all tank spawn points. I might as well show this that also has list of all the AI. This is probably going out of order, but it does have all the AI for the enemies. This is the which are AI centric clone. We have AI Flea, AI Kamikaze, another Kamikaze. I think we set up to be 4. Enemy spawn count 4, yeah. So those all work. We have a player controller somewhere here. Let me just put everything away. Oh yeah, player object, which is our player object controller, which is instantiated and then takes control of our player object here. I showed that we basically worked, but that's spawned in from the game manager. Whenever we start the game, we spawn the player, and that is down here where we're finding the spectrum on the spawn position. We're finding the list of player spawn points, which there also is. I feel like I'm doing an absolute mess of this. Player spawn points. There's also 6. Which, yeah, like player spawn point. They're basically all the blue ones are player spawn points, but we're basically we're going through the list and making sure that the player spawn point is less than or more than 0. Then we're getting a random spawn point from the list of the player spawn points. We're getting the transform that spawn point, and then from the player spawn position, we're setting the spawn point dot position to that. If for some reason we don't have a spawn point, we're just going to set the spawn point to vector.0. Then we're going to, with the player pawn prefab, spawn the tank. Spawn the tank object. We're going to be returning the pawn component of that tank object. Where are you? Into a pawn tank, temporary pawn tank controller. We're also going to be controlling the spawn player controller, which basically does the same thing, but it returns the controller. Then we are going to do the temp player controller and possess that to possess the temporary tank pawn. We're also just saving the player controller into something that's on the game manager. This is to help us remember, so we don't have to remake another controller when we're respawning the player. Then we're going to set the tank's position to the player spawn position. We're also going to be setting the player object in this. Actually, I don't think the set camera actually does anything. I think that was when I was trying to figure out how to get the camera to work. But for the set player object, we're just setting player object to the target, and the reason we have a player object as a game object is basically for the AI, so that it always. Where are you? Here we are. So basically, we want the player object to always be a target that the player will be, that the AI will be looking out for. That's why we are keeping the player object there. All right. AI initiates controller. Yeah. As for the AI, we do. Originally, the AI was the controller. The controllers for each AI was built, it's basically attached onto the object on spawn. I think they worked better then, but I wanted to actually get this working, so that's the respawn player. We'll go over that later. We basically do the same thing for the spawn enemy. where we're checking the spawn count, but if the spawn point is more than 0, we're going to be doing this. If we're going to be then checking if the spawn point has already. We're going to be going through the list randomly, check, and until we find a list that is spawned enemy equals false, we'll be going through that. We're doing this to make sure that this spawn point has not spawned an enemy. That way we don't have two enemies spawning on the same spawn point. This probably isn't needed, but I thought it was important to have. And the spawn point, enemy spawn, basically just has a spawned enemy. No, spawned enemy? Oh, yeah. Yeah. We're basically just checking. It's a bool function to check if a spawn enemy is null or false. If it's null, then if a spawn enemy does not equal null, then it's true, and otherwise it's false. Back to actually getting this. Then we're just going to be getting the transform. We're going to be setting the spawn point transform into position. As for actually getting the random enemy, we're first going to be getting a random number from 0 to enemy's count, which is the enemy index. We're then going to be putting the enemy index into the list of enemies, which will then be the actual game object. We'll then be spawning that game object for the spawn to enemy tank, which is, where are you? Basically the same here. We're spawning the pawn. Where are you? Spawning the pawn. Then we're setting the spawn point. Spawn point dot set spawned enemy. Which is that, and then then we're going to be setting the controller AI, and then I didn't really know how to get to match each AI with which each pawn with each AI, so this script is kind of dependent on you putting the AI pawns in the same order as, well, actually the AI controller scripts in the game manager. Where are you? AI list here, which is the list of the enemies that should be spawning, and this is the enemy AI controller list. It's dependent on having these all in the same order. That way they actually spawn. And then we'll go by basically number. If it's case 0, that's the flea AI in this case. Oh, shit. Come back here. In which case, we'll set the temporary enemy controller to the spawn enemy controller. And we'll then get the enemy's AI controller enemy index. And then going to the spawn enemy in a controller, it's just going to control it's going to get a game object temp enemy, instantiate it, and then it's going to return the temp enemy as a component controller AI. And then it'll basically go through the list, this switch statement with the enemy index, checking if each one, like 0 is flea, 1 is kamikaze, 2 is pursurer, I can't say that, and 3 is sentry, not symmetry. And we'll just be setting the controller there. Then at the end, we're going to be setting the temporary enemy tank pawn transform to any spawn position. And if that doesn't work, then we're just going to be set the enemy spawn position to vector.0. Actually, that might not work. Oh well. This is long, and it's already taking longer than I think it should be. AI controllers, let's see. The player initiates a player pawn at random spawn point. We do that. Since I think in player spawn, we're basically getting a random spawn point. Assign it to an AI controller. Yeah, that works. There's spawn point. I did not make. But anyways, I can show that the spawn does work, but let's see if I can find someone who will kill me. You, hi. Kamikaze. Kamikaze into me. That's not supposed to work. Usually it's random. Is it? Where are we? Yeah. Okay, it is random. It's just... Holy crap. I'm getting all the points in the same row. That's very bad luck. Yeah, it's just... It is spawning the... It's respawning the player randomly. And spawning the player randomly. It's just... That's very bad luck. To do it like twice in a row. But it does work. What else? Game manager has function to spawn enemy at random point and assign it to AI controller. I've already shown that off. I did not do that because I actually... Crap, I need to check something, but I can't check that on that. Anyways, I'll check it later. So I don't think actually having the enemy move or have control points was important, at least in the canvas page. Pickups are spawned and able to be picked up by our AIs and players. The pickups are also handled in the AI game manager, in which we have three pickups, which are of course are important. Let's see. We had pickup. Don't we have a pickup list somewhere? Yeah, we had game manager. Power-ups. Yeah, we have power-up spawners. That's in the up-to-date list. Up-to-date list. Power spawners. Let's actually spawn this. And as you can see, power-up spawners. It shows all of the power-up spawners that are in the level, but only a certain of them I think are actually spawning right now, because we have something in the game manager to do that, where we basically have how many health pickup amounts we want to spawn, how many health max we want to spawn, and how many speed pickups we want to spawn. We can also set their spawn times individually. And as for like let's see, so there's like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's random, so let's say we want to do 10. That should be more than... Yeah, amount of desired power-ups is more than the total amount of spawners available. The game will still play, but it just won't have any power-up spawn points. But let's say we want 2 move and 2 health pickups to spawn, as well as 1 health power up, health max. As we check, we have 1 health max here. We have 2 speeds pickups, and then 2 health regeneration pickups here. And all the other spawners have not spawned anything. So that works. And as for the code for that, where are you? Here is the actual set power up. Oh yeah, I don't think I even showed you the respawn player. It's basically the same as the. It's basically the same as just spawning the player, except it's just slightly slowed down. But as for the player, no, not the player, the power up. We're checking first if the power up total is less than or equal to power up spawners count. If it's true, then we'll just go do the set power up. If not, we will set an amount. The amount of desired power ups is more than the total amount of spawners available. Then we'll actually going to do the power up setting up, and we go to set power up, which is down here. Where it's then first we want to do this for a certain amount of time until the desired amount of power-ups has been actually first we have a do statement here in the very first thing. If we go all the way to the bottom, we're going to do this while power-up total count is greater than 0. So we'll just be doing this for a while. At the top, we're setting up the temporary power-up spawner, which is the spawner that we want to have. We're then going to go through the list of power-up spawners while, this is another do while loop. We're checking the temporary power-up spawner to, spawner timed, where are you? We're checking that objects to spawn does not equal null. Basically, if object to spawn equals null, for this case, then there's nothing in the spawner, and we can actually assign that to this. But if the object to spawn equals does not equal null, then there's an object in there, and we can't use it because it's already been assigned to respawn something. Once that spawner has been once that temporary spawner has been picked, we're going to make a game object. We're doing this similar to the enemy object, where we're getting a temporary index from start of 0 to the power-up's max count. Then we're going to temporary pick up to go through the power-ups list and getting the index of the power-ups. This is just some of the old code. I was trying to figure out how to actually get or figure out which power-up to use. I was trying to get component, but that wasn't really working, so I ended up doing it. This is where I ended up doing the switch index, I think, first, and then I did enemy. And then we're checking, again, this is dependent on the health power-ups list here, or not the health, just the power-ups list being in order as this index, as this switch statement, which isn't ideal, but it's the best way I could think of getting it without doing a bunch of if statements. Actually, that's null and void, because this is basically just a bunch of if statements in a break statement. But what we're doing is that we're then checking the pickup health dot count to the current pickup to the desired health pickup amount. And what this is this pickup health dot count is a static variable. Pickup health. On start, it's supposed to increment once it's made, but doesn't really do that. The actual incrementation happens in here, where we're debugging that a pickup health has been set to a pickup spawner. We're setting that pickup to we're setting the temp pickup to the temp power up spawner dot object to spawn, and then we're also setting the desired health pickup spawn time to the time between spawns for the temporary health pickup spawner. We're then de-incrementing the power up total count, which is for this. So that's how much longer we have until we stop this do loop. We're incrementing the pickup max health count. So now there's one, or at least in this case, if this is the first go around, there's one actually in the game world. And it's pretty similar to health, max pickup health, and move speed health. Pretty much all do that. And we'll basically just be going through this whole function until power up total count equals 0. Is less than 0. Yeah, less than 0. No, wait. Well, as long as power up total count is greater than 0. Once it gets to 0 or less than, then we're done. All units are past the list of control points. Can't do that. Pickups respawn after the set time period after they've been picked up. Yeah. I can show that. Alright. Just to check. Yeah, there are enemies. They're just really spread out. So, let's see. The health pickup is set to like a minute. Then we can just wait for a minute for it to actually respawn. This has mostly gone pretty well, except for the enemies. The enemies are very, very wonky for some reason. They worked better when the AI was in them, and I have a feeling that it has an issue actually detecting the player. And as you can see, after about 60 seconds, the object respawns, and we can collect it again, and it will respawn. And it's basically the same for the other two objects as well. Let's see. Power-ups to utilize inheritance. So there's this whole thing. So I think this is the abstract power-up class, which has the lifespan as the apply and the remove effects. This is the power-up manager, which gets a list of power-ups and a private pawn, which is the actual pawn that's attached to. And it will then be updating the power-up lifespans and check for expired power-ups. In which case, for the updated power-up spans, we're doing a for each loop, and for each power-up in power-ups, yeah, that, we're subtracting from the lifespan the current time.delta time. So we're basically just de-incrementing the time lifespan. And then for check for expired power-ups, we're making a new list, power-ups to remove equals the list of power-up. And then we're doing another for each loop through the power-ups list, and we're checking if the power lifespan is less than or equal to 1. We're adding this power-up to the power-ups to remove. Add. And then we're going to another for each loop. Go through this, remove each power-up. This way we're not iterating through the main power-up list. And then in the power-ups to remove, we're just removing the power-ups. Which does remove dot power up dot remove from pawn, and then power ups dot remove from power up, removing the whole thing from the list entirely. And as for add, the add will basically just apply the pawn, apply this to a pawn, which I think is actually in pickup. Is it? No. No, Power Up Manager is completely different from Power Up, but it's connected to it. But going from Power Up, which is the abstract class, to Power Up Health, which is a child class of Power Up, it's basically just supposed to, on apply, it will get the health component, and if the target target health comp does not equal null, it will basically heal. We don't do anything for remove because we just want this to apply, and then it will be done. For power up max health, this is another power up. We're technically healing, but we are getting the target health dot comp or target health comp. We're then increased max health of old max health. Yeah, we're basically showing this is the before, and this is the after. If the target health does not equal null, we're then going to go into the target into the player health component. Or, well, not just the player health component. Both the health and player health component, since they're player health component is a child of health component, so it should work fine. Well, where did I put this? We're basically just increasing the max health by amount to increase, and in the health component, that increased max health does max health plus equal amount, and then we're also setting the current health to the max health. So it's basically a full heal in this case, which makes sense. And so this is a complete increase to a player stat or an enemy stat if they grab it. And then power up move speed. We're basically just getting the target dot move speed, and we're plus equaling adding the the speed boost to the move speed. And when that is removed, we are removing the speed boost from the move speed. As for the pickup, pickups utilize inheritance only for data and standard functionality. Pickup is the basically it's the actual object that we're colliding with. But in this case, we're just for the base class of the pickup, we're setting the on start. We're setting the collider, or we're getting the collider component, and we're setting the collider to a trigger. Let's go through pickup health. So in the case of pickup health, it's just going to. It's supposed to increase the count, but that doesn't really work. But on trigger, it is going to get the other get the power up manager of the something to collide into it. If the other manager does not equal null, we are going to add this to the other manager's power up manager, the power up, and then we're going to destroy this game object. And on destroy, we should be de-incrementing count. I don't know if that works, but pick up health, and then should trigger the others on trigger enter. But we don't really have anything we want it to do on trigger. Like maybe play a jingle, but I haven't made that. We do the same for void on destroy. I think. I don't think this really matters right now. But all the pickups are child classes of the pickup. And they all basically do the same thing. They're just adding to the game manager. Stand functionality same. Power-ups affect players and AIs. Alright. Let's see if I can actually get one of the AIs to follow me. Is there a pursuer? No. Oh no, it doesn't work. Pursuer or kamikaze would work. I could actually show. Okay, there's a pursuer there, and I can. That's not what I meant to do. You'll work. Hey, you, come on, follow me. And it is such. See, this is what I said about the whole thing being wonky. It detects me, but the code's not working for some reason. Not all the time. There we go. Actually, it might be easier just to set this back to 2. Yeah, amount of desired, let's just set that to 1. Hey buddy, you're a kamikaze. Can you follow me? For just a bit? Why do you stop? I wonder if your vision distance is set to very small. He's supposed to be smaller, but it does affect him. It's just really hard to show this off. I wonder. I think the vision is just. Hi, there you are. Come on. Get me over here. Does it? I think it's working. It's just. I've made them terribly. As for me, power-ups, for the what does it say? I don't. How long does this? Alright, cool. I'm 2. So yeah, the health works. Generator, prefabs. Oh, well that makes sense. Why was that set to 0? Lifespan. Let me actually show that this works. Yeah, like now. I think we're going for like a little bit. And then it wore off. Speed boost. Let's do 5 seconds. Because that lasted for a second. Yeah, there we go. And I have no idea if there's another one. Somewhere here. Alright. Can I somehow get you? Yeah, follow me. I think I need to increase your vision distance. Oh, I could have just gone after that one. Okay. Yeah, okay. See? It does work. I finally got a good something to show you. The health, the power-ups do affect the enemy. It just took longer than I hoped to actually explain. Temporary. Yeah, the speed boost is temporary. Health pack or landmines are permanent. Won't be covered in class. I think. I think that was. Actually, wait. All right, we're back. I think. Sorry about that. I just don't want you to see anything. All right, class generate map function. Will generate map game runs. Choose level of day. AI spawn point. Yeah, we spawned 4 AI tanks. We can spawn more. There, spin it. Each section does contain 1 random spawn power-up. Let me go through the tiles to just show everything. Actually, the best thing. We have enemy spawn point on this tile. There's a power-up spawn point here. There's a player spawn point here on tile 1. On tile 2, there's the player spawn point. There's the enemy spawn point. There is the power-up spawner and the another power-up spawner. And for tile 3, we have the power-up spawner here, the player spawner there, and the enemy spawn right there. What else? Sorry, I didn't have this opened earlier, and I just wanted to check. There must be at least 3 different power-up types. 1 must expire over time. That's the movement. 1 is a permanent change to the stats. That's the health up. Each section must... Actually, I don't think I ever showed the health up section. Or maybe I did. I just don't remember. Alright, cool. That works. Let's actually show this is the player. This is the current health. Right down here. And if we go there, the current health and the max health both increase. So that works. Each section must contain a player spawn point. Empty game object, yeah. Gameplay must work as it does and provide it. I think that's everything. I think above and beyond would actually... Okay, I think I've shown you everything. Even though it's taken too long. The one thing I think that would act as above and beyond would actually be the camera system. I spent too long doing this. Basically, we're using the input actions of the player character. Well, actually, first I should probably explain how the camera works. We have a camera offset. We have a target, which is what the camera should be following, because the camera is not attached to the player. It's basically its own thing, and it is basically has a camera follow script. It has a target, which in this case is null because it hasn't been set. In the game manager, when we're respawning, both spawning and respawning the player, we are setting the player object, basically this object to player object, which will basically set it to the target for both the AI controller as well as the camera. And we're also doing the same thing in the respawn player section. But for the camera follow, at start we are setting the game manager.instance to a player object. Although I don't think that actually works because I don't think the players actually spawned in then. But we're also getting the input actions and we're enabling them. And the reason we want the input actions is because whenever we turn, we want the camera to look... Actually, do we even use? No, we don't even use them. This was for like the original. This was what I was trying to do. What I was trying to do for the original camera was that every time it turned with the camera and stayed focused on. It turned with the player and stayed focused on him. But I was never able to actually do that because it'd either be all the way in the middle, like underneath him, and it would turn, or it wouldn't turn to the... It would turn, but it wouldn't stay focused on him, or some wonky thing. Anyways, eventually, I ended up, I think, came around a transform point, from local space to world space. And I was basically trying to figure out, I wanted to get the camera offset. And this was basically for the player. If I can show it in the camera offset, negative, the Z is the, basically how far away it is, I think. 10, yeah. And I think negative 7 is the best viewpoint for it. And I'm just letting him die. Yeah, let's just go over here. So like the Z here is supposed to be how far away the camera is actually from the player. And then the Y is supposed to be, I think, yeah, basically the height. But through this, we basically have a camera that will be behind the player whenever they move, using tank controls. I remembered I was just getting very frustrated with this. Space and sets the camera's offset transformation. Yeah. And then we're basically just keeping the target's current transform position as what we want the camera to actually transform and look at constantly. Because the whole idea was to make a camera that kind of acted with tank controls. And then during the update, we're never going to be destroying this camera, so we just want it to constantly be looking at the target. And if it is, for whatever reason, the target is null, we're going to get the target from the game manager and the target game manager.instance.playerObject. That way, when the players respawn, the game object will, no, the camera will go back to the player object. And will basically be trained on him. Whoops, I do not want that. And that was basically my above and beyond. Well, actually, there was actually another thing. Because I technically have 5 AI scripts and AI. Well, I don't have an AI controller because this patroller still has the AI directly on it. And the reason is I don't think AI tanks do not need to patrol between sections. Okay, that's why I didn't make the AI patroller. I know I needed at least 4 different enemies to spawn, and I didn't know how to get the AI controller for this guy to work. So I just made a completely new enemy, which is the kamikaze tank. And it pretty much does exactly. Once it finds the player, it's supposed to run into him, and then with this self-destruction overlap, it will, it basically, we can do whatever, any amount of damage, but I wanted to do 3, because on a regular player, it will insta-kill them. And on a more powerful player, it'll do a good chunk of damage. Maybe leave them 1, like, if they've got the health power up. But this damage on... I basically had to update both the damage on overlap and damage on overlap self-destruct. Because the damage on overlap is for the projectile. And then we're basically checking if it hits something with the... that has a health component, we're going to make it take damage, and then we're going to destroy the game object. But then I also had to update it so that if it hits something like a wall, it would actually destroy itself. And then as for the damage on overflow, or damage on self-destruct, or this one, we're basically doing the same thing as the regular projectile. We're checking. Well, we're doing 2 things. We're checking if the object being hit has the player tag, and if it is not a projectile. Because we don't want it to self-destruct on projectile and destroy the projectile. We want it to only self-destruct on the player. And if the player if the other object has health and is not null, or the other's health is not null, it's going to take damage for the other object, and then it's going to destroy the parent object. And there's probably a better way to do this for the parent object, but in this case, the parent object is just the kamikaze tank. That way, once it's actually done its damage, it will destroy itself, which was the whole plan. So we have a new enemy type, which could fit the above and beyond section. And I think the only important thing is that you might have heard it like a couple times as we're playing. Like right there, you can hear a little explosion sound. That happens whenever an enemy explodes, and it also happens whenever I explode, which isn't important. I'd actually like one of you to shoot me. Those flea tanks. Why do you do this? Okay. Huh? I'm almost certain Yeah, okay. I can't hear it. It's just overwritten by the... It's overwritten by the whole explosion. I don't understand sound. And then the other important thing, which isn't really that important, but I did just make it so that the power-ups would kind of float up and down. But I think the main thing for the above and beyond section, or a game exceeds minimum requirements, is the actually adding the camera. But I'm sorry that this took so long, because I was trying to get everything. But thank you for sticking around. This is an hour long. Holy crap. Thank you for sticking around. Please have a good day. Bye-bye.